Good morning. Today we're going to be talking about hormones and sleep specifically. And this is one of the topics that I get asked about the most. And honestly, this is one of the topics that I had very little knowledge of. And so I went to a training 3 weeks ago, and I'm going to go to a training again in the next couple of months so that I can really deep dive into hormones, know how hormones play a role throughout life, but especially during perimenopause and menopause, women's midlife, and just what happens in our bodies, what we can do to help benefit our sleep. And then we're also going to talk about a variety of hormones today, because I think when I am asked this question, most people are asking me about progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen. But there are other hormones that are in your body, and we're going to talk about a few more of those. A few things to remember. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, so I am not a medical doctor. I do not have a whole ton of experience with hormones. So what I'm looking for and what I'm seeking training in is the type of information that can help me at my level within my scope of practice and can help women get their best sleep. So we're going to talk about hormones. The hormones we're going to talk about today are estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, but we're also going to talk about some of the other hormones that maybe you aren't thinking of when it comes to sleep. So things like insulin, ghrelin, leptin, and cortisol. Okay, those are going to be the hormones that we are going to focus on today. And we're also going to focus on, my program is about habits, lifestyle, behaviors, things that you can do to sleep better. And so today we're going to talk about regulating hormones and things you can do naturally, because I can't prescribe you any hormones. We can't do any hormone replacement therapy, so I'm not your girl for that. But I am your person who can help you understand a little bit more about hormones and then understand the lifestyle, behavioral, and habitual things that you can start putting into play to better serve your body and your hormones and impact your sleep. So having a better sleep. All right. So when I went to my training, I did look at and get some information on hormones and what kind of can happen, especially related to sleep throughout perimenopause and menopause. Okay. So menopause, this is average statistics. Okay. Perimenopause lasts for most people 7 to 14 years. Okay. The average age of menopause is 52. And these are just averages. You may be different. A lot of people are different, but that's just some interesting information to know. So 7 to 14 years, you'll be in perimenopause on average. And then the average age of menopause is 52 years of age. All right. So some things that happen with low estrogen. Okay. And I'm only going to talk about the things that could potentially impact sleep. Okay, so some common symptoms of low estrogen can be things like hot flashes and night sweats, which we know impact our sleep. A lot of the times when people talk to me about nighttime awakenings, it's because of those types of symptoms. Mood swings, depression, anxiety. Some of the key things with depression and anxiety, or one of the key symptoms, is issues with sleep. So if you're increasing feelings of depression and feelings of anxiety, most likely that is going to impact your sleep. And then insomnia. Okay, so those are some common symptoms of low estrogen. That's not a comprehensive list, but those are the things that could impact your sleep. Okay, some common symptoms of low progesterone are insomnia and mood swings, and also depression and anxiety. So those are some things with low progesterone that could be impacting your sleep as well. And then some common symptoms of low testosterone. Some things that are common with low testosterone that could be impacting your sleep are things like sleep disturbances, especially night sweats, brain fog, poor concentration, things like that. Those are some symptoms of low testosterone that could be impacting your sleep. So clearly sleep disturbance. And then estrogen dominance, depression, and anxiety are some things that happen with those. So yes, there are a lot of hormones that are greatly impacted during perimenopause and menopause, a lot of things that have to do with sleep. Now, you guys know, like I've said before, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to be doing hormone replacement therapy. I'm going to be talking about things that you can do to regulate your hormones naturally. So those are some of the things that are going on that could be impacting your sleep with estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. And we know the age ranges for perimenopause and menopause, 52, average age for menopause. You could be going through perimenopause for 7 to 14 years. So if you're in that age range, these could be things that are going on. So paying attention and being like, am I more anxious? Am I more depressed? Do I have night sweats? Do I have hot flashes? Is my sleep a lot different than it used to be? Some things that can balance hormones. Okay, I'm going to circle back to these other hormones too, okay? So I focused on the ones that we most commonly hear about in perimenopause and menopause. Insulin is what balances your blood sugar. Rudimentary. You know I'm not a doctor. So insulin, what we're going to focus on with sleep is balancing your blood sugar. There's a lot of research, and it's a big part of my program that I talk about managing your blood sugar levels through nutrition and nourishment. So eating well-balanced meals at particular intervals of time, eating a good meal for dinner so that you're not having a blood sugar spike at like 3 a.m. or something like that. That really impacts insulin. Ghrelin and leptin are also hunger hormones. So think of ghrelin as your like ghrelin, okay? So it's like your growling tummy. So it's your tummy that's like telling me like I'm hungry. So ghrelin shows up when you're feeling hungry. Leptin is kind of the opposite. And again, these are rudimentary. Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm explaining it to you as a behavioral person with some tips in a few minutes to help you. But leptin is about fullness and satiation. So think of ghrelin as like, I'm physically hungry. Leptin as I actually feel full. So knowing those two hormones, we know nutrition and nourishment can greatly impact those. If you're hungry, guess what you should do? You should eat. If you're full, guess what you should do? Stop eating and be, you know what it feels like when you're like overfull, be comfortably full. So be satiated, but not like overstuffed, right? And then cortisol. Cortisol is often known as the stress hormone. So every time I talk about nervous system regulation, managing stress, managing anxiety, managing overstimulation, managing arousal, this is directly impacting cortisol. So now we know a little bit about hormones. Let's talk about things we can do naturally to impact our hormones and to balance our hormones. Number one, it's not going to surprise you. I talk about this all the time. It's actually the second time I've talked about it today. And it's only 9:11 a.m. where I live, is a consistent schedule. So knowing that keeping your schedule as consistent as possible is going to help you manage your hormones. It's going to give your body a sense of safety. It's going to give your body a sense of regulation. It's going to help you sleep better at night. In turn, it's going to help your hormones. When you sleep better at night and when you get a good amount of sleep, that does directly impact your hormones. So a consistent schedule is very important. Clearly, we're talking about sleep. So all of these things we want to help improve sleep because that is going to help improve your hormones as well. Exercise. I actually listened to a podcast this morning at the gym that talked about exercise. And it was a huge study that showed how impactful certain types of exercise is for sleep. But exercise is also good for hormones. So making sure that you are exercising, some really good options are walking. Okay, doesn't have to be anything fancy. Go for a 30-minute walk several times a week, if not every day if you can. And then weight training is actually really good for hormones too, and for building muscle and things like that. And we also know, well, maybe you don't know, but you start losing muscle after age 35. I believe is right. So as you age, you're losing muscle. So you want to keep that muscle and build more muscle if you're able to. All right. And then the big thing that I have talked about over and over today already, because it impacts so many of these hormones, is nourishment. So it's what you eat, how you eat, what you're fueling with. We're looking at blood sugar regulation. That's going to help with insulin, keeping insulin in balance and keeping yourself from spiking your blood sugar and plummeting your blood sugar. So that's very important. Some tips for nourishment are eating balanced meals. So eating meals that contain protein, carbohydrates, fat, vegetables, fruits, eating like a well-balanced meal, not eating, a bowl of popcorn and thinking like, I'm going to feel amazing after this. This is a great dinner. No, you're going to balance your meal. Focusing on fiber. Fiber is huge. I feel like, how people have been talking about protein for like 10 years? I feel like fiber is the new protein, especially when we start talking about gut health, which is so important. Fiber is very important. So getting enough fiber in your diet, most Americans don't get enough fiber. So really working hard to get fiber in your diet. Lots of colors. So like eating the rainbow, eating as many colors and as many different fruits and vegetables as you can. That's going to help with blood sugar regulation. It's going to help with those hormones, ghrelin and leptin, and then it's going to help with your gut health. There is a lot of research about gut health and how it impacts mood, how it impacts sleep, how it impacts hormones. People even call it the second brain. So I think gut health is so important, and the best way is through nourishment. I think of like hydration. You guys know I'm always hydrating. Hydration and nourishment are like your body's first medicines. I really think like getting those in check and seeing how things work is really good. Doesn't mean that you don't take a medication later, you don't get hormone replacement therapy, but it's like those foundational things like sleep that are so powerful. Another thing with balancing hormones is managing your stress. So learning how to manage your stress and actually managing your stress. That is a super powerful way to help balance your hormones, which in turn is going to help with sleep. So we talked about a lot today. We talked about hormones. We focused on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, insulin, ghrelin, leptin, and cortisol. Cortisol is going to be that stress management piece. It's also going to be your nutrition and your movement. These things all interplay. So it's developing really good behaviors and habits so you can have a strong foundation. That's going to help your hormones. It's going to help your sleep. If your sleep improves, your hormones are very likely to improve as well. So, number one, consistent schedule. Like we talked about, I'm summarizing these here. Consistent schedule, consistent exercise. So, even focusing on walking and weightlifting. Nourishment, balancing your blood sugar, eating good, well-balanced meals at regular intervals, not under eating, not stressing your system, and then managing your stress. These in turn are going to help with your sleep. They're going to help with your hormones, and they can have a really great impact on you. This is a little bit of information about hormones. I was really excited to know that so much of this is really truly habits and behaviors. Like that's where to start. And that's where my sleep program starts too, is changing those habits and behaviors that aren't working, replacing them with things that work better. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you guys next week, and hopefully you can start implementing some of these tips right away and getting to feeling a lot better and then sleeping a lot better. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.